My name is Adam Kingle. I've written a book called Next Generation Leadership, which looks like that, and it's all about how do we better manage our millennials or Gen Y? How do we retain them, engage them, and make our workplace that workplace that's more worth living? And in so doing, does that help us peer into the future of work and how capitalism itself may be evolving? It's an interesting data point that the way in which we manage our organizations is relevant for an employee of 20 plus years ago. Very few organizations have evolved their management model to be fit for the next generation. And that next generation are millennials or Gen Ys. They compose over half the global workforce. And in 3 short years, they'll compose 75% of the global workforce. So being able to engage, develop, and retain your millennials is the way that you'll be able to create the internal capability and capacity to be relevant and not just think about management as a mechanism of control. In this session, what I'm going to be talking about is what's going on with Gen Y. What is causing this resignation crisis that so many different countries in the world are complaining about? How might we keep them? What's driving these resignations? What's reducing their development? What's reducing their engagement? What might we offer them in easy, sometimes inexpensive, sometimes free ways that allows them to feel a much greater adherence to their employer, to their organization? I'll be talking about different paradigms of careers and work life and how that's hugely evolved over the last 15 to 20 years in the workforce. Then we'll look at, well, what does it mean then for our customers or our clients if they're Gen Y? Because if the paradigms are dramatically different for our Gen Y employees, then they must also be different in terms of our customers who are in that same generation. Not to mention the analyst community who's looking at the health, the well-being, and the investability of our organizations. Then we'll peer into the future of work and say, if these paradigms of the youngest generations in the workforce are so dramatically different from the older generations, then surely that allows us to get a sense of how organizations will be led in the future when those millennials lead our organizations. And what does that mean in terms of the future of work, the future of business, the future of capitalism? What is the role of the estate of commerce in our society? So it'll be a hugely, I hope, interesting conversation filled with lots of both data, but also analysis and insight, not just from me, but from you, and what that means for the future of work. Unfortunately, when we sometimes talk about work-life balance, we think of these as two different conditions. Myself at work and myself in life, as if when we're at work, we're not really living. I believe that work life itself has to be a life worth living, and I do believe that we have insight into how we can address that. I hope to see you and to discuss all these issues with you at the NLI conference. Looking forward to it.